abused, and the reports that were made, etc. I think that they should rather encourage women to come out, to speak out and speak the truth, and use this rather as one of the bad examples, and therefore we shouldn't use this as a yardstick or as an example of how abuse cases should be treated, and therefore women who are already marginalized, therefore lose this in this end. So that's my first reaction to this.
All right. We'll be hearing more from Ajete in a moment, but I want to come to Araba on this. You see, the truth is, Araba, the expectation has always been that you must believe the woman. When there's a report of abuse, believe the woman, just so that women will be encouraged to speak up and step forward when they are being abused, which is sometimes very difficult. If the person abusing them is someone close to them who has influence over them, it's very difficult for a woman to speak up. So to encourage that, we expect that society should believe the woman. To be honest, we haven't really been doing very well with that. People tend to question women who report abuse anyway. But now with this example, where the woman has been proved to be telling a lie, it looks like social media in particular is no longer interested in this believe the woman narrative. Were we overdoing it by expecting everyone to just believe regardless when a woman reports abuse? Do we have Araba on the line?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you now.
All right, so I'm saying that it is legitimate to believe the woman, because women usually, especially in situations like this, are vulnerable. So like you said, they are willing to come out and talk about their experiences as abused persons. So it's just made to believe women. But you shouldn't use this as a yardstick, like Jason said. And let's be clear, first of all, this was a defamation suit. Yes, I mean, the basis was accusations of sexual and physical assault by Amber Heard. But it was a defamation suit by John Dick to clear his name, because it had allegedly cost him. He got several endorsements and film roles. So this is a man who says he has suffered the cost of these false accusations and chose to speak up. So he went to court to clear his name. And I know that in court, evidence is the name of the suit. You don't appeal to emotions to win a case. It's about the hard evidence. And thank God this was televised, because everyone saw every bit of the trial and everyone could make a judgment for themselves. And you could clearly see the look in some of Amber Heard's positions. I mean, I'm not a Pirates of the Caribbean fan, so I'm not really into Johnny Depp. So I was actually hoping that Amber's case would highlight this supposed sexual assault. But it didn't. I mean, how do you talk about bruises on your face and theater makeup in the same way? You had her using pledge to donate anonymously. How do you do that? In such a case, as a hard-to-find one like this, you want to make sure that you leave no room for doubt, And she did succeed in that respect. So, I mean, obviously, this is going to fuel this whole social media drive for people not to just believe women like that. But I believe that people should believe women when they abuse. Amber Heard should not be the yardstick.
I mean, it's interesting you say that, because you've pointed out all the ways in which she obviously did not come across as credible, and it is proof that at least in one instance, a woman has been interested in being dishonest about a man's abuse of her, so a man abusing her, for her personal gain. So what is to stop other women from doing that? If we say believe the woman, will we not end up, with some people making false accusations about men, more people making false accusations about men?
I think what this highlights is the need for people to have evidence, especially when they're being abused. It's important that you have some form of evidence. If you are abused, immediately report it. Immediately tell somebody, so that at least there's some evidence to back your case. Because, as you said, a lot of people will tend, especially from this trial, not to believe women when they make accusations but they may be actually telling the truth. So it's important for women to be bold enough to come out, warn that, have some sort of evidence. Because if at the end of the day, it comes up, you come up against your accuser, and especially if that accuser is powerful, you need some sort of evidence to back your case. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
It's not just a matter of saying, he abused me, and I'm worse off for it, so, just believe me. It's important to believe women, and I'm saying that in the light of this trial, where people will hesitate to believe women, it's important that when women are abused in any way or form, they immediately report, they tell somebody, so that at least there's some sort of evidence to back their case. Yeah.
Okay, now, anymore, it's interesting how social media has responded to this. Very interesting.
Hello, Kojo.
Yeah, hi, anymore. You can hear me, right?
So before you ask me your question, I have 3 things to say about your previous question.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Can you add them to your answer? Shall I ask my
No,
question?
No, I feel like I want to say these before you ask me a question so I don't lose my train of thought.
Oh, since you feel that way, let's hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so number one, I really do want to reiterate what Araba said about the fact that the lawsuit was about defamation and not domestic violence. So yes, it's been proven that, Amber said a lot of things that were not true and therefore did defame Johnny Depp. But it hasn't been proven that she wasn't abused at all. That was not something that, so we don't know. We do know that they had a very, very toxic relationship. And that may or may not have gone both ways. That hasn't gone on trial, so we don't know. Second thing, you made a comment that social media, is kind of going into the, okay, women are, telling lies and therefore we shouldn't listen to them. But there's also a section of social media, and I've been going through all of that, and where a lot of people on social media are not leaning towards, women are telling stories, therefore we shouldn't believe them. In fact, a lot of the women who spoke up with the Me Too movement are taking a stand against Amber and saying that, no, this is not what we stand for. One of the judges in the U.S. who led with their domestic violence bills made a very categorical statement. She said, quote unquote, Amber is the worst representation of women who have been abused. She is not a part of the Me Too movement and therefore should not be associated with anything to do with, domestic violence or, all of this is moving back and all of that. The last thing is, Araba was talking about evidence and, we say that when a woman says something, should she be believed or shouldn't she be believed? The thing is, Kojo, it's almost the lesser of two evils. It's either a false accusation or it's death. Do you know what I mean? On Wednesday on my story, I had a conversation with a woman who was in a domestic violence situation for 6 years. She was beaten with laptop charges. She was beaten with belts. She was cut with knives. She did all of that. People from the man's family would beg for him and say, oh, it's okay. People didn't believe her. In a situation like that, you gauge it and you're like, okay, if the potential false accusation, does it weigh more than the possibility of the fact that this woman might be dead? So it's a very, very tricky situation. I honestly think that Amber Heard is not a representation of anything to do with domestic violence. She has her own, issues. I think she should be diagnosed of something. So it's a bit worrying that, we're really associating this with domestic violence. It seems like, okay, so women tell lies, do this. Yes, women do that, but men do that as well. But I think it's important that we keep the lines clear that this was defamation. She is not a part of the Me Too movement. It has not been proven that Johnny Depp never hit her or never did anything against her. That was not what the trial sought to do. So, those are my 3 things.
Yeah, okay. Now, you see, what I was going to do was read a few of the tweets from social media and then get your response, which you've kind of done already, which means now people's tweets will not get read because you can't respond twice to the same thing. But anyway, the thing I wanted to point out is that, look, for better or for worse, people are now asking a question which was never a question before. Okay, it was never a question before.
What question is that?
Should you believe a woman automatically?
It's always been a question, Kojo. It's always been a question. Let me tell you, a few years ago, I did a series for the morning show, actually. And we were speaking to women, I think it was in the Upper West region, where they said to me that it is okay for their husbands to beat them because that's what they have been taught. And that's what makes them feel like their husbands love them. So I don't think the question is even, should a woman be believed? There's so many different stories that come out of that. It's, are we looking at what society accepts as normal here in Ghana, here in the rural areas? And when a woman says she has been beaten, are you seeing the scars? Are you seeing the evidence? Are we getting psychologists who can properly analyze? Because if you have a professional speaking to a woman, you can tell she's a victim of trauma or she's a victim of abuse. We can't suddenly ask a very broad question, should a woman be believed? It's very, very dangerous territory to suddenly put that tag on a gender that is already at a disadvantage, especially when it comes to, abuse and how women are seen who are beaten. When anybody is, my husband beat me, the first question is, what did you do? Or even if it's rape, you were raped. Oh, what were you wearing? What were you doing in his house? And these are questions that we shouldn't give life to by asking questions, should a woman be believed? Yes, if a woman says she's being beaten, first point of call is take her away from that situation and then have her analyzed or have her evaluated and all of that. And then based on the evidence, you can, kind of assess. But to have that prove your pain or prove your trauma is a very dangerous thing for us, especially here in Ghana, where we don't have the system set up so that these things can actually be proven or tested or analyzed.
I actually think you're saying the same thing. What I'm saying is that it was never in question before that when a woman reports a case of abuse, you start from the benefit of the doubt. You don't start from skepticism. Whenever anyone asks that question, what did you do, to a person who reports abuse, that person is condemned. Every right-minded person understands that you don't ask someone that. But now it is the question is being introduced when it never was before. So the question I'm trying to get to, and I will get to it one day, the question I'm trying to get to is this. If on social media especially, people are now raising a question that never was, does this suggest that Amber Heard, with her, shaky testimony and the revelations in that case, has unfortunately set back a movement that was already going too slowly forward?
Definitely. Her lawyer was speaking yesterday on, I think, she spoke on Fox and CNN and everywhere. And her lawyer says, as soon as Amber came out of the courtroom into the conference room after hearing the verdict, she said, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Because what I have done is to set back a lot of women. I mean, she's saying that as that's her PR statement to make it seem like the verdict is what has set back a lot of women. But the reality is her actions have set back a lot of women. It is because of the fact that her team couldn't come up with enough evidence, or the fact that she was lying, or the fact that she was manipulating. I mean, even if you hear the testimony where she is telling, Johnny, their baby, are you going to tell people I didn't hit you hard enough and all of that? I mean, obviously, it paints the picture of like the judge said, the very worst kind of woman who can manipulate at that level and then make the Me Too movement kind of look like a joke. So yes, definitely, she's done every woman a great disservice by this whole, circus that she set up, in all of that.
Right. I hope we still have Ajete with us.
Yes, I'm still here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested in the male perspective here.
Right.
Every time conversations about abuse come up, you hear a man somewhere talking about the fear of false accusation. Okay. How serious is that? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, how big a problem is it being falsely accused? Yes, we have an example here. But is it something that men live in constant fear of? As a man, going about your daily business, engaging with women in your profession and so forth, are you afraid of being falsely accused of abuse?
Oh yeah, I mean it also depends on the context, and because you definitely are making sure that, I mean, if you have the kind of man that I have in mind, the ideal guy who is out there to make sure that he does everything right, makes the wife happy, makes the partner happy, and all that, and then false accusation comes in from nowhere. Definitely, it's something that you would really could be think your life. But then the reason why I'm saying it depends on the context is that you know that the men out there who would have a partner here and there, and what do you call it, a girlfriend here and there, and therefore when those accusations come in, it's not that you're afraid, because you're guilty. But then again, you wouldn't want that to be said of you out there, and so it's inwardly you know that you're caught, but then you also don't want that to be the known thing, and so nobody wants to be accused, even if I'm wrong or right, and so something that we live constantly, day by day. But something that anyone said, and that resonated with me, is that, look, unfortunately, women are seen as, and this example of this case has also made it even wide open that you shouldn't believe the women. But there's something that men live by every day, that, there's this slogan, whether it's a slogan or a phrase, that all men cheat. And Bema DSR, and so it's been accepted. And unfortunately, and therefore, any man is looked with that at the back of the mind, which is not entirely true for all men, and so we're also being judged just by the fact that there's been evidence that, oh, this is what happens in the lives of men, but that doesn't mean that everybody should be seen in that light, and therefore, if we're to have a case like that taken into the court space, how would the women also react in that is not to say that I'm still hammering on the fact that this is a very, very bad example, that the Amber's case for women and who are trying so hard to make sure that the truth is heard about what their experiences with their husbands and in the space of abuse. And so I think that it's an eye opener in a lot of ways for both genders to begin to really look at ultimately cultivating healthy relationships, so that we don't get into these messy areas.
Now, and anyone made a point about how people really do ask silly questions when women report abuse sometimes. Like, what did you do, or what were you wearing? And, trying to make it seem as if it is their fault for being abused.
Yeah.
So if you put that alongside what you've described as a real fear, a constant fear that men also have because of the Me Too movement and how successful it's been so far, of also being falsely accused. When you put these two things aside, what is the real way forward then? Men are afraid of being falsely accused. Women are afraid of, reporting abuse because they will be asked ridiculous questions. What's the way forward?
Charlie, I think one of the main reasons is, really having introspection and, taking a look at the quality of life that we want for ourselves. And speaking from a man's point of view, therefore making sure that, you continually become a better version of yourself always. You know the woman that you're in a relationship with. You know what takes her off. You know what will get her mad. Try as much as possible. It's not a perfect scenario to always be in her good books. Therefore, you don't have these issues being all over the place. And most of the time, the women understand that they're not dealing with perfect human beings. But I think that sometimes men take them for granted. We take them for granted, and therefore we think that we can get away with a lot of things, and therefore it affects the quality of relationships. So I think that one of the main reasons is for us to really look at the quality of our lifestyles and choices that we make when we're in relationship with these partners who we've sworn to be with. I think that for me would be a starting point.
Now, I think we've lost Araba. We're working to reconnect with Araba on the phone. But anymore, so you made a point earlier that this was a defamation case. So it didn't result in proof or conviction of Johnny Depp as an abuser. Okay, it didn't show that Johnny Depp abused Amber Heard. But the evidence did show that Amber Heard, on the contrary, did some things to Johnny Depp that are clearly abusive. I mean,
Yes.
defecating in his bed being just
Yeah.
one of the shocking examples that come to mind. Does that conversation about abused men, is it something that helps or hinders the Me Too
Kojo.
movement?
No. I think even on the morning show a few years ago, about 3 years ago or so, on a Friday, I did a show. I think all of you were away or something. I did a show on abused men. And there were men who called in, and I think Sami will remember, there were men who called in crying because they had been abused. So it's a very, very real thing that men are abused every single day. I mean, and it's not even about physical abuse. There's verbal abuse. We are gaslighting. We are stonewalling. We're doing all sorts of things to manage our emotions in a relationship, which are very harmful to each other and harmful to men. Also, I mean, women do have a reputation, and maybe rightly so, for just running their mouth. You know what I mean? Like, you're having an argument with your husband or with your boyfriend, and you're saying all the things that will hurt him, that will provoke him, that's also abuse, Kojo. So women are responsible as well. It's just that maybe, and I may be wrong, but maybe women are maybe less likely to physically, so maybe not beat, maybe also just because of sheer strength. Not beat or not hit with laptop chargers. So they may not be the physical marks of abuse, but men are abused every day. And Ajete was saying that, it's about taking responsibility in the relationship and creating healthy relationships. But Kojo, this is something I always say, love is a science. And we have to, psychology is not just for psychologists. It is our personal responsibility to accept that we are dealing with sociopaths and psychopaths dressed in suits. And so we have to learn how to identify red flags. When you meet a woman, you should be able to know the markers for whether she's manipulative, whether she's a liar, whether she's somebody who will, use your emotions to play with you so that you can protect yourself. Because there's always a sign, you know what I mean, that this person is capable of something. On the other hand, if you're a woman and you're with a man, after that first slap, babe, you know that this man has the capacity to hit you. So you walk away. You don't wait for 5 years. So do you get what I mean? Let's learn to walk away. Let's teach our children how to walk away from what is not good at the first sign, and stop this second chance, especially when we're putting ourselves in positions where our lives may be at stake.
I think you're right about the signs. Sometimes they're very obvious, and you really should act. Sometimes they are not. From personal experience, I know that sometimes a sign can be hard to spot. But anyway, all right. So now, what is the new world? First of all, is there a new world following this Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, or is it just the same old one, but with stronger voices against? I don't know. I'm asking the question wrong.
I understand. I think I understand what has it really changed anything? Has it made it worse or has it made it better?
Thank you.
So I don't know. Solomon says in the Bible that there's nothing new under the sun. So perhaps there isn't anything new. Women are going to have to fight harder to be heard. They're going to have to learn how to document evidence. Every time you're beaten, every time you're raped, you have to come out of the emotional experience or state that you're in and take pictures of yourself. It's the reality. You have to have evidence. You know what I mean? Men are going to have to also be able to document evidence and to be able to say, I didn't do this, and find. It's almost like we're creating a world, Kojo, where instead of us being open and loving to each other, we're going to have to learn how to be proactive in protecting each other. Now you have to have evidence that I am not an abuser against the day when I may be accused of being an abuser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Except
it's
you can't prove a negative.
World. Right now, and I doubt that a lot of people feel safe in their interactions, but it's just what it is. I don't know if it's better, if it's worse, but it's just what it is.
Listen, I'd like to hear both of you on this next one, and I'll start with you, Enimwa. Do you think that perhaps a part of it is that men don't also, well, some men don't understand how some of the things they think are innocent are actually abusive?
Yes.
I'll give you an example. I have a friend. I was talking to her yesterday about this topic, and she told me about how she went to visit a friend in another city recently. The friend, they met a third person, a mutual friend of theirs, and one day when her main friend was not there, this third guy came over to visit her in her hotel. She had met him, she was friendly with him, so she allowed him in. They were chatting. At some point, this guy got up. She was lying on the bed and he was sitting on the sofa. He got up, walked up to her on the bed, touched her hand, and said, "You know I'm going to sleep here with you tonight, right?"
Hey.
Okay. Now, he said it with a smile, but it filled her with fear, right? Because that was not the kind of relationship she was cultivating with him. Okay, but he was in a hotel room with her, an attractive woman. He was attracted to her, decided to shoot his shot, got up, touched her hand, and said this to her. Now later, when this thing was brought to his attention, he said, "Well, I mean, I was only trying, to see if you felt the same way. I wasn't trying to abuse you or anything." But she was terrified. She's in another city. She's alone. She's in a hotel room. You are here with her. You get up. You walk up to her on the bed. You touch her. There are men who are listening to this right now who are thinking, but the guy didn't do anything. He didn't jump on her. He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Do you think that sometimes guys just don't realize how threatening they are, even when they don't mean to be?
Kojo, you know what's really scary for me in this your question is the fact that even with everything I know and everything I've learned, instinctively I want to ask, why did she let him into the room? and the reason that this is scary is because I can imagine a lot of people in their cars and in their kitchens asking the same thing. Why would you let him into your hotel room? But that's the point at which we are so wrong. Because, and this is what happens with the domestic violence cases and everything, is that the first question is always, to the woman, like, why are they? You know what I mean? But anyway, she lets him in and all of that. And yes, of course it's threatening. There's a certain level of trust that comes in saying, okay, you can come in because you're my person's friend, or whatever. And then he is shooting his shot. But the scenario is important. The place, the atmosphere, all of those things they feed into her perhaps feeling helpless. And as much as yes, he may feel like, well, I'm in here. It's not like I jumped on you. I just rubbed hand. And you may have said yes. So yes, he's shooting his shot. But then, like I said earlier, we have to be super or hyper aware right now of the way that we act and the things that we say and the things that we do. So yes, definitely, a lot of men may put themselves in positions where it's like, I'm not doing anything, but actually I am. But also, Kojo, women are also doing the same thing, because you can read into, and it's signals, isn't it? We're human beings. We deal with pheromones and signals and unsaid messages. And so anybody can rightly read that, okay, well, you let me into your personal space. So is that a signal that it's okay? You're lying on the bed. What was your body language like? Is that a signal that you're saying, come to me? Do you know what I mean? We have to become hyper aware of the things that we communicate when we are not trying to communicate anything. Otherwise, it's just very, very murky. I don't know if I've made my point clearly enough.
I get what you're saying. I think it just kind of, you said at the beginning that you caught yourself asking that question. Why did you let him into the room? And it is the wrong question to ask.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to blame the victim. And if someone is feeling threatened in such a situation, she is indeed a victim. I want to bring this to Ajete as well.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this.
Yes, I mean, I agree with Enimora, but my take on this is, yes, it is a wrong question to ask. Why did you allow him into your room? But it's still something that we still need to process. I mean, whichever gender it is, and especially in this case, with the woman, that this you're inviting somebody into a space where it's a hotel, so you're cut off. There's no emergency exit, if you will, apart from the main door, and so we should process these things that hotels should be more private, and so probably maybe in the lobby or in the restaurant area. I think that and that's part of being very hypersensitive, so that we don't give any signals away, even when we don't intend to, but it's being read wrongfully. And so we both have a part to play in this. Yes, the guy, especially when we hear that he's a friend to this lady's guy, that's obviously a moral thing. But then again, some of these things will not take hold if we really look into the decisions we're making, the choices we're making, and making sure that, look, we're deliberate about the choices we're making, and therefore some of these things will be taken care of. So yes, it's not a good question to ask, but it's worth processing it before you make a certain move.
It's an interesting thought, because earlier in this conversation, Araba first made the point, and Nimwa repeated it, that it looks like now the world we are living in requires women to gather evidence, in a situation where they face abuse. They're supposed to gather evidence of it, so that they will be believed. Now, in addition to having to gather evidence, we are also saying that they should take responsibility for not creating a situation in which an abuser will abuse them. At what point will our conversation also start saying abusers don't abuse?
I don't. Is that for Ajite or me?
For you anymore?
Okay. I don't think that abusers on their own are going to stop abusing, because if they could, they would have stopped and they wouldn't be abusing. It's like saying, psychopaths or sociopaths or murderers should just stop murdering just because. They won't. So it's our responsibility. Let's have a real conversation about the reality. The reality is that it is our responsibility. If a man wants a rapist, has targeted you, he's not going to of himself decide that he won't. You have to protect yourself. It's the harsh world that we live in. So let's teach our children, and it's very important, let's teach our children not to create atmospheres or circumstances where they are vulnerable. That's the reality. And if we run away from that, then we're not going to be able to go anywhere. Let's teach women how to defend themselves. Let's get into taekwondo classes. Let's teach women how to kick, how to, disable men. Let's teach them those things. Let's teach men how to spot, women who are manipulators. Or let's teach men that, okay, when a woman slaps you and you feel like you're going to slap back, there's something that happened that is very, very sad, Kojo. I was with a friend, and she had two boys, 2 girls. Those were her kids. And the girls were worrying the boys, like, pushing them and all of that. And we all weren't saying anything because we were just like, oh, the girls are worrying their brothers. As soon as their brothers hit back, instinctively, we were all like, what are you doing? And then she was like, you don't hit girls. And then the little boy asked, but why is she allowed to hit me? And sometimes we don't tell that story enough, too, that this is the reality, that in our world, it's kind of, if you see it, even in Nigerian movies and stuff, it's like a woman gets into this passionate fit and slaps the man and walks away, and it's a story. But the reality is, don't create a situation or an atmosphere so that something can happen to you and then you cry wolf. Do you know what I mean? So it's personal responsibility on both sides. And I'm not saying this to take away from the fact that women may be more vulnerable or women are getting abused. I'm just saying that let us be responsible for ourselves. That's where it starts from. Learn to protect yourself. Learn to fight back. Don't create situations where somebody's coming to be somewhere and then something will happen and then it's a long story. Just use your head. Do you know what I mean?
You guys have given us a lot to think about. I really appreciate your time with us this morning in Nimwa, Araba, and of course Ajite. God bless you all. Thanks for your very illuminating thoughts. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right. Well, you know what that means. It means it's your turn now to share your thoughts with us. And we'll open the lines for that right after these messages.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs: your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
The feeling of being the champion of the famous childhood game, Pilolo, is like knowing a secret that no one knows and using it to your advantage. That is the feeling of being on Ghana's favorite network and getting your money's worth. With Airtel Tigo, you can get exciting tailor-made products and services that work for you. Dial *111#, select option 1 for big-time data to enjoy data that doesn't expire, and option 4 for Sika Koko to enjoy huge data at little cost.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
My first thing was sneaking into the fridge to sip on some Ideal milk.
My first telephone was 2 empty tins of Ideal milk connected by a long string.
My first taste of freedom was when I had 1 full tin of Ideal to myself in SH.
Make more beautiful memories with Ideal milk as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. You can win a brand new car and other exciting prizes when you text the special code behind each Ideal original anniversary label. The more you buy and text, the better your chances. This advert is FDA approved.
To clean an LPG tank, fill the tank with water. This forces out the remaining gas in the tank. Then release the water. The cleaner should wear appropriate protective clothing such as gas mask, goggles, boots, and gloves. LPG tanker vehicles should have appropriate warning inscriptions such as written warning signs, reflectors, and flashing lights. Storage tanks should be inspected regularly for rust and damages. Service providers should be called in when a defect is detected. A message from the National Petroleum Authority.
From now till August 2022, Litina Travel and Tours is giving you the opportunity to make this summer the most memorable time for you and your family. Walk into any UMB branch or call Litina Travel and Tours to find out how you too can present your family with an unforgettable experience at Disneyland Paris. It's open to everyone looking to have an amazing experience this summer. It's $3,600 for adults and $2,990 for children. 8% off early bird discount available. It includes flight, 8-day stay in Paris, a boat trip on the Seine River, visit to the Eiffel Tower, Champs-Élysées, the monuments, and many more. Visit the nearest UMB branch or call Litina Travel and Tours on
050-565-7821
or ask Sika, the UMB virtual assistant, WhatsApp at 0266 020 400 or at www.myumb.bank for more information today.
Nana
Kwame,
Yeah.
come and visit me.
Hey, Akosia, that's your house. I don't want to come there again. Oh. Drama be what?
And that's for that my Fiera. Hey. Oluma with grey hair who like the nice young ones. Oh, you to come and let's do some salad.
Okay. I will bring some kelewele so we can chop once we enjoy our eyes.
Tilfiasem, enjoy real local drama on the new channel Akwaba Magic Ebusia on Go TV. This is your new home of local content and more. Chawiniso, Go TV, love it.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy.
I was carried away by your innocent face. Me no more for second woman, no come quicker. Get an ambi face and me no better na air day. Now I am say me I will penny bisika. We do to for Kameka City Pana Hoya. Tina go Pasaka before Jamie of Shilla. Me believe in us when they come media go. Now me with the Wissima Koma Hema. It is Shilla and I will catch me when they better na football. No say I got football in your china. Mama Mako could go all this weekend. Become a papa night. I saw you different. From way back, the show never the same. And me is so green, of course I'm a student. From the same they say when they live with them the same. I feel that we see the cast again, so bad pain. Of a bitch in a wooden nakoda, or the same. Me I'm down for how could you become a friend? Just because they papa the for an affair. It's about for then I wouldn't have an affair. But the woman I'm a bucket is in the air. A betty with this so that she will be when they clear. Some people they may never on you. You know what's on that tea, me said that you, banker, said the Jimmy Bill, Unyamio. If it's a Lucian Yansa, so Mr. Kios, if I'm a come when I woke up on the gala, they be with the one of the Lala, I would imagine this is good to a salad. I think I was a whooping with you. Shut up.
Tell me, say now only me.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Never ever let me go. Sana
Welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. And what a conversation we're having. Obviously, this Amber Heard Johnny Depp case has got tongues wagging across the world. Some of your tweets are very interesting. I'll share them in a moment. But first, let's say a big thank you to Glyco-Critical Illness Plan GSIP. It's in your best interest to survive. They are the sponsors of our text messages on the Super Morning Show. So at Glyco Life, they believe that this is the time to protect your future with their insurance policies. Their products are designed to offer you peace of mind, especially in this COVID-19 era. Now, to policyholders, your claims are important, and so Glyco advises you to go visit them or go to glycolife.com to lodge your claims for prompt service. And also, please pay your premiums on time. You can pay via Momo on 059 144 1473 or by e-premium for microinsurance to safeguard your policy. Now, Glyco cares, so they are implementing all the COVID-19 protocols in all of their branches. You can alternatively call 020-2222-113 for assistance at their contact center. And of course, their digital channels are all open. Now, here's a notice. It's hereby given that the 28th annual general meeting of the GCB Bank PLC will be held virtually and streamed live online via gcbbankagm.com. GCB Bank's social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter, and GTV on Friday the 3rd of June, that's today, at 10 a.m. To transact the following business. 1. To consider and adopt the financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31, 2021, together with the reports of the directors and auditors thereon. 2. To declare a dividend for the year ended December 31, 2021, subject to Bank of Ghana approval. 3. To re-elect directors retiring by rotation. 4. To re-elect a director in line with the Bank of Ghana Corporate Governance Directive 2018. 5. To ratify the appointment of 2 non-executive directors. 6. To ratify the appointment of an executive director. 7. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of auditors. To join the meeting, just log on to gcbbankagm.com on a mobile phone or computer and enter the unique token number sent at the time of registration. You are encouraged to participate as a shareholder and vote on the resolutions via the online platform or shortcode *899*3#. GCB, your bank for life. Now, having your baby try out different tastes and flavors is not just about giving them a change of taste. It actually helps develop their palate and prepares them better to accept varieties of adult food as they grow. So go ahead and try any of Cerelac's 6 variants: wheat, maize, rice, biscuity, fruit pieces, and millet. Remember, each bowl of Cerelac contains goodness that helps your child's normal growth and development. Cerelac, it's all good, Mom. This advert is FDA approved. Okay, you know the numbers: 0302 216 541, 055 1111 997. I'll read some of the tweets in between as we go. Before we take our first call, here's a tweet from @Nana Opifine. I hope I've said that right. With Amber Heard's case, an outright precedent is being laid. Now, in the event a woman alleges a crime of any kind on any kind of man, the authorities are to check, recheck, cross-check, and double-check for proper ascertainment. Trust me, many men will be exonerated if that is done. And that's the view of Nana at Opifehene. All right, Emmanuel is in Accra. Hi, Emmanuel. Good morning.
Hi, Kojo. Good morning.
All right, we'll take your thoughts in 30 seconds, okay, so we can get more calls.
Okay, Kojo, first on the thing. You see, I had a classical example. There was this next-door neighbor, and then the wife was abusive every time. It's not physical abuse. It's verbal abuse. So we confronted me, and I said, oh, no. Then let us report to the police. When we got to the police station, the police were like, and we were like, the woman would say, if you like, be out of me, and he will be pushing the man, So we think that the opportunity is here, and that's it. That's the reason why we are here to report. And then they just like us over it, and then they choose the case away. So this is a classical example which is happening. You know, the women are like they are sympathy seekers. You know, they if there is a case, a valid case, they will go and spread the news that it is the man's fault. So who are you to touch them? And many men are quiet on these issues. So if it comes, you just keep quiet. But then many women are abusive. You know, and when you go and touch them physically or something, yours will be hurt. And then, so please, on this note, I am giving what the authorities to hear both sides or hear men. Men are suffering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kabute is in Teshi. Kabute, good morning.
Good morning.
Charlie, quick one for me. 30 seconds, huh?
I have been a victim of this before. So I was working with this lady and we had something doing. It got to some time I said, oh, I won't do it again. She went to management and told them that I was harassing her sexually. And this is somebody they've seen me work with even in the night. So what was I going to do? The only thing that saved me from going to jail was our chat and the voice notes she used to send me. So when it comes to these things, we must be very careful before we call people names. I'm happy Johnny's own has come out and everybody has seen that it's not always the man that is the abuser, but the women also abuse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kabute, for sharing. Ken is in Kumasi. Hi, Ken. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know what? This starts from our infancy or from our kids. You know, I watched two girls and then a boy who was late. And what happened was one of the girls loved the boy. This boy wanted to pay her back. But there was a lady behind them who was like, hey, stop. But the boy wanted to explain to the lady that the girl was the one who started it. But this lady didn't listen to him. So that guy, the boy was, in fact, he was very, very annoyed. So I got close to him, and then I was like, oh, he should stop. And he was like, why he doesn't get to beat her back? Because obviously he thought the girl did what is wrong. And then he has to pay her back. But I told him to stop, right? But I told the girl, I warned the girl, and I told the girl not to try that again. This thing start with the ladies' aspect. It's like whenever they do it, society is like, oh, you shouldn't. Touch a lady. You shouldn't do this to a lady. So they go scot free.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Ken. Let's go to Cape Coast and talk to Araba. Hi, Araba. Good morning.
Hello.
Thanks for calling us. You're our first lady caller today.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so initially, I was thinking, we're all human beings, and if we all give ourselves the respect that we need, these issues won't be coming up. But we all live in we live in a hush world, so it won't be. But I think that men are also suffering equally, but because we are in this kind of society, people don't hear us. So it makes it very, very, very difficult. But for Amber Heard, she has groomed women. And it's really going to be difficult for us to voice out, even when people are going through the worst that you can think of.
I really want to encourage you that if you ever find yourself in a situation of abuse, report it. Don't let the fear of being doubted stop you from protecting yourself. Okay, the alternative can be scary. Please. Kwesi is in Accra. Hi, Kwesi. Good morning.
Good morning. What I want to say is that the issue of abuse, sometimes the gentlemen have issues with insecurity. And we should look at providing some psychological services to which men who have issues with insecurity can have help. Because it's the insecurities that lead to the abuse sometimes.
I see.
For instance, if a woman dresses beautifully and another man admires her, it could lead to a situation of abuse because the man feels threatened. So I think that it's something that we should look at to give help, some form of help to those who have issues with abuse. Because it's more insecurity than anything else. That's what I think.
Thank you for sharing. Thanks very much, Kwesi. Thanks to all of you who called us. I wish we could have taken a few more. But I'll tell you what, let's take some messages from our partners, and then we've got some friends passing through with some exciting news. Stay with us.
Hey, Bra Kofi, your ceiling be smooth, bright and fine, Papa.
That's an understatement. It dey blink like 80 carats white gold. This be Interface plasterboard ceilings. Smooth, bright, and long-lasting. Everybody where they come here, they fill up. Where they direct them go Interface Limited for world-class quality.
If you're involved in new property development, renovation, or decoration, the right place for you is Interface Limited. Call us on 0274-999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook, Interface Limited GH. Instagram, interface.limited.
My first sin was sneaking into the fridge to sip on some ideal milk.
My first telephone was 2 empty tins of ideal milk connected by a long string.
My first taste of freedom was when I had 1 full tin of ideal to myself in SH.
Make more beautiful memories with Ideal Milk as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. You can win a brand new car and other exciting prizes when you text the special code behind each Ideal original anniversary label. The more you buy and text, the better your chances. This advert is FDA approved.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. You know both. You know chop. When it vanish for your area for 2 weeks, you not get 1 drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Haja, our life was in dangerous.
Only our neighbor gets water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank gets meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! That's my boss, Mr. Poncho go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
1, 2, 3.
Wait, Mr. Lawson. So what is this?
I'm checking my money.
For what?
It's getting to the end of the month. I'm going to pay my rent.
You haven't heard of rent to own?
Rent to own?
Well, under the Plant City Extension project, they offer you a whopping discount for this month of May. But listen, you pay just 20% of the property and it's all yours. 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom houses. Plus, they are even developing beachfront house. Mr. Lawson, reach them on www.newaccra.city or call 05555 30300 0577 9111 01 or 055 7054 635. Plant City Extension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future.
I'm moving into my
you better.
St. John's. The headmaster, board of governors, the school management and staff, PTA, all saints and students are calling on all to come for St. John's School 70th anniversary launching at St. John's School campus. Date 4th June 2022. Time 10 a.m. Team celebrating 70 years of impactful college training on the boy child, the St. John's experience. Chairman, Old Saint Kwejo Osei Asante. President, Global International Cost Engineering Council, ICEC. Guest speaker, All Saint Professor Akwesi Osei, CEO, Ghana Mental Health. Guest of honor, Honorable Andrew Ejapa Mercer, MP, Second D and Deputy Minister for Energy. St. John's School, Viam Parantes, preparing the way.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back. Now, I told you our friends are coming through with some very interesting news. And look, it's true. It doesn't matter how hard times get. One thing that is constant is that we're all sadly going to lose loved ones at one point or the other, and the cost of a funeral is one of the many things that is going up. Except that thanks to transitions, there are now some options for those of us who are saddled with these unexpected and unfortunate bills. And I'm so happy that we have two friends from Transitions to help us understand how we can take advantage of some of the options they have. So let's say good morning to Genevieve Cornelius. She's the general manager at Enterprise Transitions. She's here with Abbas Azuri Abatuli. I'm very excited to meet Abbas because he's a senior embalmer at Transitions. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Abbas, what an interesting job you have. Quiet. Oh, wow. All right. Okay, so listen, we're going to learn a bit about these options that you have. Yeah. But look, these are tough times. Is it still possible for someone to give their loved ones a befitting burial, bearing in mind how expensive things have become?
Thank you, my brother. And good morning to all loved ones and cherished listeners. Yes, it is very possible. Okay, funerals are part of us. We are human beings. We have loved ones, and when nature calls, nature has called, and we need to say farewell. Saying farewell as Ghanaians in the cultural element that we find ourselves, it plays different